Hey guys, it's Jimmy from over at Movie Death Blows. Hope everyone's doing well out there today. So we're going to talk about The Lord of the Rings of Power, which premieres on Prime Video tomorrow, September 1st. You get the first 2 episodes then, and you'll get an episode weekly after that. So Prime Video sent most of us the first 2 episodes, so I've seen the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power. I'm under very strict guidelines about what I can and can't talk about. You know, they told us not to give away the plot points or anything like that. I don't really think it'd be possible for me to give away the plot points because there really hasn't been any that developed as of yet. But I mean, once you see them, you'll know where the story's going at that point. And if you're a fan of Tolkien like I am, and if you've read, The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and attempted to read the Silmarillion like I did, you'll know the basics of what it is. So I mean, let's just talk about it first. So I'm a huge Tolkien fan, huge Lord of the Rings fan, Middle-earth, all the Tolkien lore I've read and been interested in. I got halfway through the Silmarillion and realized I had no idea what I was even reading or what they were even saying at that point. It's such a complex, nuanced story with such history to it, and, ages that take 2,000 years and people that don't age, and everybody has kind of the same name or they're related to this person here. It's very nuanced and complex, as I said. So like, this is not going to be a show. This is Game of Thrones, but it's like the chess match Game of Thrones at that point. Like, you really have to be into this. You really have to understand the history of Middle Earth and how these characters came to this continent to thrive, as you would say. So we get to see a lot of places that have been talked about in live action Lord of the Rings, but we've never actually seen before. So we'll get to see Numenor, Valor. We'll get to see Khazad-dûm. It's thriving, before it became the Mines of Moria at that point. There is a scene, Durin the Fourth and Durin the Third are very prominent in the Rings of Power. So the Rings of Power takes place in the Second Age, which is about 2,000 or 3,000 thousands of years before any of the characters we know and have come to love even existed at that point. So there's no Gandalf, there's no Aragorn. The Hobbits are just The Hobbits are just coming to be at that point. It's not. Everyone's kind of getting in their starting point here now, so they can grow into what becomes the Third Age and the Rings of Power at that point. There are characters that you have seen, that you have met before in previous movies. Galadriel, the Elf Queen of Lothlorien. Elrond, who's played by Robert Aramayo. You'll know him from playing young Ned Stark on Game of Thrones. Really, character-wise, that's all we've probably really seen that we've seen so far. I mean, there's characters that you've heard of, like Durin the Third, Durin the Fourth, Prince and King of the Dwarves. Gilgalad, the High King of the Elves, you'll see him. Isildur, Elendil, and I assume Anarion, but I mean, he hasn't been mentioned in most of the films that we've seen. Anarion is Elendil's other son and Isildur's brother. So, and you will see a bunch of Sauron mentions here and there. So, I mean, the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power are slow. I'm not going to lie to you or beat around the bush. They're really just establishing everything for a totally new story that we've never experienced before. So, I mean, they are slow. It takes a while to get through them, but, doesn't mean that they're bad or anything like that. It's just establishing a backstory at that point. So, like I talked about, so Rivendell doesn't exist. Elrond is a very good friend of the High King of the Elves, Gilgalad, who, we all know perishes at the hand of Sauron when the Third Age and Lord of the Rings comes to be about. Galadriel is, she's on like a vengeance tear in Rings of Power. She's hunting for Sauron. They do mention Melkor and Morgoth. They were like the first 2 big bad evils on Middle-earth. They were one of the Valors. It's very, you have to read the Silmarillion. If I were to explain it to you, this video would take 35 minutes to 3 hours to get through. So before Sauron, there were big bads. There was Melkor and Morgoth, Sauron was one of Morgoth's lieutenants, basically. And then when they vanquished Morgoth, Sauron became to be the great evil power in Middle-earth. And Galadriel had a brother, Fëanor, who met his end at the hands of Sauron, basically, but it was really like a werewolf battle. like I said, very complex. You got to go back and read the appendix to Silmarillion and Google all these characters to figure out, how far they go back. So Galadriel's basically on the hunt for Sauron. She thinks he's still on Middle Earth and he hasn't left. That's like her big quest throughout the first 2 episodes that we've seen, and that will take her to other places. One of them being Numenor, which is Elrond's half brother, who didn't become a full. Elrond's half elf. His brother was. I think they were both half elf, but he chose to remain human and start the kingdom of Numenor, which gives them very long lives. So like Aragorn is a descendant of Numenor. He was actually like 87 years old in the 2 Towers. But that gives them longer life, and they're really like huge people at that point. So Cynthia Adai Robinson, she's going to play Muriel, the Queen of Numenor. You've probably seen her. She was on Spartacus. She was also on Arrow, playing Amanda Waller. There's very few recognizable names in Rings of Power that you would know right off the bat. Like Benjamin Walker, who plays Gilgalad, was in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, I think, or something like that. But they're very important characters, and you need to know them. Like this is, I don't want to say it's the thinking man's Game of Thrones, because I don't want to upset Game of Thrones fans, because I love it and it's like very in your face. But this is much more complex. Peter Mullen also stars as Durin III. You know him from Ozark. He played the Snell husband. But like I said, very few recognizable names. But the Rings of Power, it's great. It's going to be fantastic. It looks absolutely mesmerizing and incredible. Like this looks like a Middle Earth like we've never seen before at that point. Like you can definitely tell they spent billions and billions of dollars to build this world and this series, and like this is going to make or break them, and it's definitely going to make them. It's going to put them on the map. It looks incredible. The scenery, the cinematography, everything looks amazing. And like we've only seen certain locations at this point. Like we even haven't gotten to, we haven't gotten to see Numenor yet or anything like that, but you're going to. We've gotten a glimpse of Valar. We've gotten a glimpse of the Grey Havens at that point. The music, absolutely mind-blowing. Bear McCreary does the music. He does the music for basically everything that's incredible. He did The Walking Dead, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Outlander, Battlestar Galactica. He does literally all the scores and all the music for all the big TV shows and stuff of this nature, and it's mind-blowing. Like if you've ever watched Outlander, all the scores and all the songs that like get stuck in your head, that's all Bear McCreary's work, and he's fantastic. I'm not sure what else I can say at this point. Like I've only seen the first 2 episodes. Usually they'll send like the first 5 or 6 so you can get a feel for it, but they don't want to give any spoilers away, so they only sent us the first 2. So I mean, it's very hard to explain if you're not up on Middle Earth lore and history what this is going to be like, as I've said before. So this takes place in the Second Age. We're used to stuff that happened in the Third Age. So everything that gets mentioned before that, it's very like 10,000 years ago at that point. But the show's going to grow on everybody. It's going to be incredible. You're going to have to watch these episodes probably more than once, because there's going to be a bunch of stuff you missed. So I went back and watched the first 2. They only let us watch it 4 times. I went back and watched them both twice already, and I'm sure I'll watch it again when it comes out tomorrow. And they're debuting the episodes in prime time, I believe. Let me just check my schedule on here real quick. Yeah, so week 1, it's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be on Prime. Week 2, it'll be I guess they're doing 12 p.m. So this week they're gonna do a prime time. Next week, after that, it'll be everything. Everything will come out at midnight. So that's your release calendar for Rings of Power. I believe it's 10 episodes, but I am not sure. There's not a full episode list out as of yet, but I believe it's 8 to 10 episodes. So you're gonna have 8 to 10 weeks of fun. Everybody go out, enjoy it, have a blast. I'm so happy they're bringing this stuff back to just enlighten folks who only think it's the Third Age and Gondor and Rohan. But there are things before that, and you'll see how Middle Earth came to be and came to be molded as it is when we see it in Peter Jackson's trilogies of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. But Rings of Power gets 5 stars from me. I'm elated. It's fantastic. I can't wait to see more. They've really gone above and beyond to make this show what we've always wanted to see. All right? Have a good one, guys. Check back for weekly updates and videos. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow. Thanks.